There we go. Okay, so quick video. A couple of weeks ago, I uploaded a video entitled Killing People versus Creating People, and just kind of comparing the two actions as to killing a person and creating a person, and some similarities that exist, some differences, of course. And for me, at least, the biggest notable similarity, I think, is the profundity, the seriousness of the decision, of the action, as killing a person or creating a person. They're both really big deals. They're both very, very consequential things to do to a person. If you're going to do either of those things, it clearly warrants, it requires immense amounts of introspection. For one, like asking the question, if you're going to do it at all, am I someone that's going to do a good job of it? Am I ready for something like that? Am I ready for that level of sacrifice and commitment in regards to creating a person, just like asking those questions and forethought, thinking about the future, asking the questions, well, if I do this, if I am to carry out this action, what are all the ways in which, what are some potential outcomes, some consequences that I got to be concerned about? You're going to think really far ahead in terms of, it warrants that. It clearly does. If you're going to do it at all, you should think about it a lot. It's a really, really substantial thing to do, create a person and kill a person. But primarily, I'm talking about creating a person in this video. And one of the things I argued in that video, and it isn't a fucking difficult thing to argue and wrap your head around if you think about it for more than a few seconds, is the fact that creating a person is a more substantial thing to do than killing a person is, in some ways. It really is. If you think about all the ways in which this action can, the snowball, this domino effect of your creations going on to create a lot of, more people, and all the ways in which if some of your creations don't turn out that way, all the impacts that it'll leave on other lives and the ways in which they can inflict lots of harm and endure lots of harm upon themselves and inflict upon themselves. So it's a very serious thing to do. And I feel it's a valuable thing to acknowledge the fact that in many ways, creating a person is a bigger deal. It's a bigger deal, I think. Bless you. My dog back in the background there. But the point is, of the video, I guess the summary being, creating a person is it's a serious thing. And many people don't treat it as though it is at all. People don't think about it very deeply. And I think the biggest reason, or one of the biggest reasons, there are more than a few, right? But the biggest reason, I think, in terms of why people aren't able to wrap their heads around anywhere near as well as they can with, say, killing a person, people don't typically struggle all that much with the concept of, killing a person. It's a big deal. It's a pretty serious thing to do to a person. And one of the reasons as to why this is the just complete lack of fucking forethought. This very common phenomenon of people not really thinking about the future, at all. And because killing a person is a very immediate sort of thing, the consequences, and it's so much more, you can grasp it more easily. It's more tangible. The fact that killing a person, it's a big deal. And whereas creating a person, I think, the most profound aspects of creating a person isn't going to be seen, recognized until later on, I think. One of the most substantial, for instance, the dying process is a very, very gruesome, horrific process. It really is. I don't know if you've ever watched someone die before, but it's oftentimes not a very pleasant thing to witness. It'll fuck you up psychologically if you watch someone you love die slowly at a relatively young age. That has the potential to really fuck you up for quite some time. But the point is, life is a serious thing. The stakes are high, and creating a person is a very serious thing. The stakes are really high, really fucking high. And being a human being, this is a very odd experience that we're all having right now. It is a very strange one, and it comes with some immense highs and some very low lows. And again, factors are going to play into the depths of those lows and the potential heights of those highs, of course. But it is, I think that one thing that shouldn't be very difficult to wrap your head around is the fact that life is the potential for experience that is to be found here, it stands to be quite substantial, very bad. Many of the experiences that can be experienced here, countless of them, they're not so great. And when you are creating a person, you are bringing about the gradual development of a human being that will have that capacity to suffer far more severely than you can wrap your head around. And again, the fact that the people who are going to fail in recognizing this, the people who aren't going to be able to wrap their heads around at all, in terms of how substantial of a thing it is to create a person, they're going to be far more likely to create far more people. Far more likely to create far more biological extensions of themselves. And again, if you struggle to recognize this, I don't know what to tell you. And also, of course, any attempting to treat this, and there's a lot of limitation. And also, if you are someone who believes that the answer is to be found in like some sort of sterilizations, obviously that's a very slippery slope. Like there's so much potential for, if you are to allow the government, for example, the ability to choose, to pick and choose and sift through and decide who can pass on their genetics, and that is obviously an incredibly dangerous thing. And just it's worth acknowledging. I don't know, because incentivized vasectomies, on the other hand, though, right? I mean, if you were to offer people, say, hey, listen, if you are to get a vasectomy, we'll give you a PS4, a PS5, we'll give you a PlayStation 5, or a flat screen, a 4K TV, flat screen, fucking great picture quality. If you get a vasectomy, this will be yours. We'll give you some really nice stuff if you get the snip done. I mean, not that nice of the stuff, but nice enough so that the people who are, who just don't want kids, they're going to be more likely. And also the people who are just really fucking short-sighted and rather stupid, and who are going to, if they do eventually want, but instead they're going to trade, they probably wouldn't have been the best parents anyways, I think, if they're going to trade their capacity for the sperm for the television. I don't think that they would have been very good parents anyways. So I think there's an argument to be made there. I'm 7 minutes in. I'm probably going to end my rambling here. See, attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, and I'm trying to pack as much, even if it is rather incoherent, I'm trying to pack as much of my rambling as I can into as short a span of a time as I can. But I guess the summary is creating a person is a really big motherfucking deal. If you're going to do that, if you're going to ever do that, you should think about it a lot. And you should spend good amounts of your time attempting to if you're going to do it at all, again, like sifting through partners and trying to find someone that's really, and again, there's going to be a lot of limitation there. And just spending more time thinking about the fact that the future is a place that you got to prepare for. And again, even people who are just immensely gifted in this capacity for forethought, there's still going to be a lot of limitation there in attempting to account for all the potential, all the possibility, all the uncertainty of what the future, there's just so much of that, of course, and it's rather inescapable to very real degrees. But there are things we can do. There are certainly things that many of us can do to do a far better job of that than we do. And that's a good one to attempt to hammer home, right? Just the importance of attempting to have anywhere near what I would argue to be a sufficient respect and a sufficient appreciation for the fact that the future is a thing that you really want to concern yourself with, because there are a lot of outcomes, there are a lot of possibilities that are worth avoiding and worth considering at the very least, because, and just thinking about, yes, in terms of actions in the world, like if I am to do this, what are some possibilities that will lie in the future? And the people who aren't going to do that, they're going to create far more of the people. And that's not good. Again, bringing it back to, but how much of that is determined by things that we can account for, right? Because there's a lot of that. There are a lot of, environmental conditions. And for example, who you spend your time around, who you spend a lot of your time around, who you have conversations with, who you're rather close to, that's going to have a substantial impact on who you are as an individual and what you feel that is worth doing here on this planet. And what do you feel to be a life worth living? And the human brain is a very malleable organ. I strongly believe that to be the case. That it heavily depends on how you direct your attention, your focus, your concentration, how you spend your time is very important in determining your capacity for forethought and introspection. These are things that can be accounted for and improved upon. I'd strongly believe that to be the case. While also, of course, I'm also heavily pessimistic in terms of how much of who we are as individuals is determined by factors that are far more fatalistic, like, of course, genetics, and there's a lot of that as well. You can't really escape that entirely. The fact that whose dick you shot out of, and then to whose pussy you got shot into. It's very important in determining the outcomes of lives, I think, in terms of, what sort of, at the time of conception. But that's just, you can't really do as much about that. So I think it's more important to focus on the things that can be more, that are more malleable, like the addiction, for example, and attempting to minimize addiction. There are a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that can be accounted for that is greatly contributing to the inconsequential way in which many people are treating the creation of human beings, which again is a very profound thing to do, far more profound than, again, even people who are just immensely gifted in this capacity for foresight. It's still going to be lacking. It's still going to be lackluster relative to the degree at which we should take it quite seriously. So that's the video. I'm at the 11-minute mark. I'm done with my rambling. I'm going to go take my dog outside and play a little bit of fetch. That's what I'm going to do with my time. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on anything that I've said in this video. It's been quite incoherent, I know, but again, I'm trying to just stuff as much as I can into as little time frame as I can. It's not... Anyways, yes, let me know what your thoughts are on the creation of people. And do you think it's a big deal? I think it's a big deal, the creation of people. And it's certainly not a good thing, the fact that many people don't think about it, like, at all. What it means to create people before they create people. And just the causal impact of this, the consequential way in which this will impact just so many lives in ways that are just really not so great, I think. So that's the video. I'll catch you guys next time. Goodbye.